Welcome into Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. Christian Gokel alongside PJ Zuko and Southern Brit. Glad y'all are hanging out with us this afternoon. So much to dive into. The Braves get a big and much needed win yesterday, 14-3 over PJ's Pittsburgh Pirates.
I guess.
I just wanted to hit that triple P. PJ's Pittsburgh Pirates.
That's a good one. Now I'm happy you didn't mess it up because that'd be easy to.
That's fair. That's fair. But you guys get the series win there with the Braves. Avoid the sweep against PJ's Pittsburgh Pirates.
Man, you're gonna mess that up at some point. But I'm very impressed. That's 3 in a row. It was a good streak.
Yeah, I'm never.
I don't even know if it's really true. We can talk about that later, though.
I wish the Braves could win 3 in a row. Also have a ton of college football to dive into, some NFL talk as well today there, guys. But so PJ's Pittsburgh Pirates take 2 out of 3 against the Atlanta Braves. The Braves off tonight. They will take on the Miami Marlins coming up on Friday, and they'll go through the weekend, and that'll be the final series before the All-Star break for the Braves. There's still a chance that the Braves could be over 500 before the All-Star break. It's a long shot. Got to go sweep the Miami Marlins. I wish there was somebody here with an M name that worked for that rooted for the Miami Marlins, but we'll just, we're going to sign
they're not.
We're going to sign the Marlins to Mark.
Man.
Mark's Miami Marlins. We're going to talk about this on 3 and Out. I think a lot of people have given up on the Braves.
Yeah.
How can you not? It's hard not to.
Wow. Southern giving up on the Braves. If you've given up on the Braves, we want to hear from you either in the chat, on the Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube. We want to hear from you. Have you given up on the Braves? Also, if you want to call in and talk about it, 912-342-7184. Again, 912-342-7184 is the call-in number. If you've already thrown in the towel on the Brave season, we want to hear from you and hear why. I'm not ready to do it, PJ. You're only 4.5 games back. You have not had a hot streak so far this year.
Yeah.
And that's why I said in the show meeting, are the Braves stuck in neutral? Because that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like they're treading water. They haven't been able to advance, but they haven't fallen off the cliff yet. And so I think that's what makes it so torturous. I mean, so I feel like it'd almost be better if they were 15, 20 games under 500 right now in terms of just your feeling as a fan, because it's like with the Falcons, right? The Falcons, for the most part, they don't lead you along. It's, they're going to be terrible at the beginning of the year, so you can just kind of accept that the Falcons are going to be terrible. They don't lead you along, and if they're good, they're really good. The Braves right now, you don't know how to feel about it. Are you ready to throw in the towel? Do you keep holding out hope? I'm still holding out hope. It seems like you're ready to throw in the towel.
I'm not ready to throw in the towel. Personally, I'm still holding out hope, but I can see how other people have thrown in the towel. I mean, they've come back from 9.5 before. So it's not impossible. We're still there. They can still make it. However, I can see where people would have the argument to give up on them.
PJ, from the outside looking in, what is your perspective on the PJ's perspective of the Pittsburgh Pirates?
It keeps on going. I don't really.
What is your perspective on the Braves? Because I feel like a lot of people, they're just an utter disappointment.
Well, it's similar. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a sucker for some things. So like, I'm right there with you guys. I'm like, no, there's still hope. Like, we could still turn around, because at the end of the day, like a week or two ago, things were not looking great, and still down around 5 or 6 games back. That a lot of people getting injured. Starting pitching seemed like every single night was just struggling really, really bad. And I was already there. I was like, all right, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm done. Like, Braves, that's it. Throwing in the towel. And then they pull you right back in with a series win here, a series win there. Played really good, really well against some of the best teams in the MLB over the last 2 weeks. And I'm just like, okay, so they pull you right back in, and then you have a series like the Pittsburgh Pirates. And this is, I've heard it, I believe, from Kevin before, and this is what keeps popping into my mind. If you're going to have a team that is really good, that's able to get over that hump, which they have been trying to all year, that a mark of a great team, a mark of a team that's able to do that, is being able to win the games they need to, being able to win the game. And I'm not saying they need to, as in the teams that are the best in the MLB, even the teams that are above 500 in the MLB. I'm talking about the games you need against the lower half of baseball. And it seems like that's where the Braves keep struggling. Like, whenever it's time to get up and compete,
win a
they
series
do
against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It's like, one of the best teams in baseball. You'll win that series, then you'll lose this series.
Yeah, it just blows my mind. And it seems like every night it's a different thing. That's where really I struggle on the quote unquote outside looking in, is every time I come in, it's something different. Some other way they're losing, some other way they're struggling, whether it be injuries, starting pitching. Once the starting pitching gets going, they can't get the bats hot. The other night where you have really good pitching all night, bats can't really get hot, and then all of a sudden you're walking guys for runs on the other team. So it's just a struggle for sure. I think I'm on the cusp of giving it up at this point.
Oh wow! Even before the All-Star break.
I mean, that's the problem, right? Because I mean, like 2 weeks ago I was already there, and then they pulled me right back in. So I know they have a few good series coming up. It seems like this is the kind of team that they'll get up for those series, and if they do, they might pull me back in even more. But they need to at this point, like you said, going into the All-Star break, need some good momentum, and then maybe you can ride that wave after the All-Star break is over. So that's what I'm hoping for, but we'll have to see how that turns out.
Well, in terms of yesterday's win, Drew Smyly had his dancing shoes on yesterday, and he needed them. He gives up the 3-run bomb in the first inning, and it did not look good. I mean, the Pittsburgh Pirates hit around PJ's Pittsburgh Pirates hit around the order in the first inning, and sent 9 guys to the plate, but only the 3 runs given up there in the first inning, and then you shut him out from there. There was a situation in the second inning where they were still hitting him, and you had runners on second and third with nobody out, and you're able to get a big play from Dansby Swanson to get out of that inning. So Drew Smyly, again, rallying from a really rough start, right? Pretty phenomenal job. And Drew Smyly all of a sudden has become one of your more consistent pitchers on the team. He had an astronomical ERA not too long ago. He's gotten that down to 4.48. Still not great, but not bad. I think the encouraging thing there is your bullpen did what you needed to do. Chavez, Green, Mentor, and Webb all combined for 4 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, and spread out 5 hits throughout those innings. So bullpen did what it needed to do. Offense obviously came alive, but what you'd like to see now is that offense stay there, because there will be the 21-point performance from the Atlanta offense, and there'll be the 14-point performance, but then that's kind of scattered with a bunch of 1, 2, 0 run performances from the Atlanta Braves. You'd like to see, I think, more so than the pitching, because I think the pitching's been pretty dang good just looking over the past few games. I know you lose to the Marlins 11-1, but I think for the most part, the pitching has been pretty good. You only give up 3 runs in this win. You lost a couple days ago giving up 2 runs against the Marlins. You win a game 8-7, but the other 2 games you give up 3 runs and 0 runs. So like the pitching has been there for the Atlanta Braves. Now you need the bats to come alive. So that's why I'm not ready to give up, because I think the biggest worry at the beginning of the season was the pitching. That started to show up a little bit. Now you need the bats to come alive for the Braves. So I don't know. You guys over here trying to convince me to give up, saying it's football season, give up on the Atlanta Braves. I'm not ready to do it yet. Not ready.
Well, at the end of the day, like you said, talking about football and whatnot, you got to look at who you're talking to. I mean, the daughter of a coach, and I can't wait for football. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of is. But no, I'm with you. Like, the hitting is there. It's that you have experienced hitters and you have guys who've done it before. You just need them to get going. That the only thing with me is, like, it's a relative basis. It's a year-to-year thing. And we haven't really seen that from that for a lot of the year. Now, all of a sudden, like you said, you'll have these big outbursts, and that's fantastic. If you could bottle that up and spread it out throughout games, that'd be amazing. But that's not the way this works, right? That's not the way life works. So at the end of the day, like you said,
a life talk.
Hey, you bring me in here, you're gonna have that every now and then. But no, at the end of the day, got to be more consistent with those bats for sure. But it's a prove it to me type of thing for the rest of the year for the Braves. And if like I said, if they prove it to me for the next week or 2, I'm down. Let's go.
And I think another encouraging thing, Southern, we talked about this yesterday on the show, so many times the Atlanta Braves get all of their runs via the home run. I think going back a week or so ago, they had 48% of their runs scored were via the home run ball, which is second in Major League Baseball. So they're living and dying off of the home run ball. Yesterday, he scored 14 runs. Only 3 of those came via home run. So maybe seeing the bats come alive, you get some timely hitting, you're moving guys over. I mean, you had your first game catcher, Jonathan Lucroy, making his debut for the Braves, able to lay down a bunt and get a guy over. So it's just you finally saw them with some timely hitting yesterday.
Right. And I mean, Pirate PJ over here, he hit on it a little bit. It's about consistency. And as coach speak as it is, it's about fundamentals. And if the Braves
They've
can't
been bad at it
hone
this
down
year.
at the
Yeah.
fundamentals, which, like you just said, they have not been consistent with those, then we're not going to see them dominate in these next
How many
series.
times have you seen a guy on third base with no outs or 1 out and they don't get him home? It's
Mhm.
been a theme throughout the year.
So many
Exactly.
times. You love to see the small ball there yesterday too. I was so happy to see that because that's something that it's like basketball. You live and die by the three now, right? And football, most of the time, you're going to live and die by how your quarterback's playing in the passing game because everybody's running the spread.
Yep.
Well, in baseball, you look around the league a lot. It's a lot of home runs and not a lot of anything else. Braves kind of getting back to the roots a little bit and playing some small ball, just getting those guys in, whatever it takes, whether it be a sacrifice bunt or whatever. That was awesome to see. Hope we see more of it moving forward.
There you go. Braves get a big 14-3 win. Night off tonight for the Braves before they got a 3-game set coming up in Miami. That the final series before the All-Star break. Still a chance, and I'm jinxing it here, but still a chance for the Atlanta Braves to be over 500 before the break. Going to take a quick break. We'll come back. Got a lot of college football to dive into on the show today. If you're a college football fan, you will not want to miss 3 and Out today. We'll catch up with Mac Hereford, former Alabama and Vanderbilt wide receiver. Also, Jake Crane from the J-Boy Show going to talk SEC West football with us. And then former Georgia and Falcons quarterback DJ Shockley going to hop on the show with us as well. All that coming up on 3 and Out. But we got to take a quick break here. We'll be more with Second Down after this. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. 2 different locations in Savannah to take care of all of your uniform needs. Got a story up right now on ESPNCoastal.com in regards to the SEC West. Holden Geriner, Benedictine quarterback, just got back from the Elite 11. Was not named one of the final 11 there, or the Elite 11, but still reflects on his time out there in Los Angeles. Geriner, of course, a commit to Auburn. So he's going to be a big part of Brian Harson's future. I know one AL.com writer said he's the crown jewel of the recruiting class so far for the Auburn Tigers. But just kind of looking at the SEC West guys, seems like Auburn's taking second fiddle right now in terms of the lead contender, right? The heavyweight contender to Alabama, to Texas A&M, and to LSU, who is all of a sudden getting the benefit of the doubt from a lot of people. And I see why it's Texas A&M. I think Jimbo Fisher's done a really good job recruiting. They have a lot coming back on defense. Got to replace Kellen Mond over there at the quarterback position, but a lot of people are saying they feel like the couple of guys they're choosing from there actually fit Jimbo Fisher's system better than Kellen Mond did. And that's obviously yet to be seen, but you got a guy like Isaiah Spiller at running back and a plethora of other guys to hand the ball to. That offense is going to be good. LSU, to me right now, is my pick, who as the top contender. And I wonder how much PJ, we always talk about this. There's something that you just kind of root for certain teams to win so that when they play at the end of the year, it's that much better. And I think Alabama, LSU is one of those games. You want those teams. Honestly, for me, I know the Iron Bowl is like the most popular outside of maybe the game in terms of rivalry. Like it's either Alabama, Auburn, or Ohio State, Michigan in terms of like rivalry games that everyone pays attention to. But Michigan and Ohio State hasn't been competitive in a while. So
long time.
It might be the Iron Bowl right now, but for me, that SEC West game I'm always looking forward to is LSU Alabama, because I know it's just punch you in the mouth football. I know last year a little bit of an outlier, but I mean the year before that, Tua and Joe Burrow going back and forth. You've had multiple games of the centuries in that. So I'm always rooting for those two teams to be really good going into that game, right? Because you have the night game in either Death Valley or in Bryant-Denny. That's going to be awesome. So I right now am looking at LSU as the top contender. You have Max Johnson, who it looks like he's going to be the guy at quarterback. You have Butte at wide receiver, who's next in line after the Jarvis Landry's, Odell Beckham's, the Justin Jeffersons, DJ Charks, right? That's LSU quietly has an unbelievable wide receiver history, right? So you have Butte there, who's going to be really good. But defense,
nasty.
Eli Ricks and Derek Stingley Jr. is where you start. 2 of the 4 best corners in college football are your starting corners. In your mind, who is the top contender to Alabama in the West?
Yeah, well, honestly, you just went through everything there, and that while Texas A&M is right there, I believe. My big thing is I'm always more confident with the team with a quarterback who's been there, who's been in the system, been in live action games, has shown us something in big games as well. And I believe LSU has that, being able to also advance up through the system and not have any big surprises coming into this year. Now, of course, they could go in and the offense could be a dud and look like garbage. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm confident that Texas A&M is going to be good, is going to be a skilled football team that's able to move the ball. But I'm just much more confident in a team and an offense that has a quarterback that's been there before, and believe LSU does. You think about, like you said, the history between them and Alabama over the last 10 or 15 years. If you only look at that, what were they? I mean, a lot of times they would win those games without a solid option at quarterback. And you feel like now that's starting to turn the corner a little bit with LSU having talented quarterbacks more consistently here these past recent years. So I'm right there with you on LSU. I think Texas A&M is not far behind. If they have a guy come in there and just light everything up, I think maybe they take that mantle from LSU. But right now, for me, it's LSU, and I completely agree with you, by the way, with that rivalry. I mean, just in the last 10, 15 years since, 2010, 2009, you look at those LSU-Alabama games, and they have been off the charts. Everywhere you go, like whatever stadium you're in, the atmosphere is going to be electric and insane, and the game most likely is going to be a close one. Even the ones that I believe it was like 21-0 Alabama won a few years ago
in the national championship.
And LSU couldn't move the ball that well, but at the end of the day, the entire game was entertaining, was pretty fun to watch. So I don't know. At the end of the I hope, like you said, that LSU is good going into that game, is undefeated going into that game to make it that much better. But also, I just think LSU, I'm more confident in what they have bringing to the table into 2021.
Oh, PJ, we got to go out to the lines real quick. A very familiar voice wants to chime in here. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Cody from Brunswick. I want to hit on the LSU Tigers that PJ was talking about. You guys aren't giving enough respect on their name.
I just said they're the top contender to Alabama, Cody.
Well, I was on hold forever. I need to speak to the GM on how long the hold wait is for this radio station.
Please send all complaints to @_biscuits and gravy on Twitter. That's where you facilitate all complaints for ESPN Coastal. Again, @_biscuits and gravy. Cody, thank you so much for the call. I believe you got a little home repair to be doing right now, right? Some pine trees going through the roof.
Yeah, I had to cut up a pine tree. It fell through my roof. Thank God I caught it with my brain, and
yeah,
we're all right.
Well, we're glad that you're taking this valuable time to call in here and talk about your third favorite college football team instead of fixing your roof. We love you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, go Tigers!
Go Tigers!
Okay,
go Tigers!
Right.
So you go, Southern. Cody Queen riding in. So you have 3 straight LSU Tiger picks. Are you going to buck the trend here?
Oh, for sure. Texas
Okay.
A&M.
Why?
I think they could be a good contender against Bama.
I mean, here's what I'll say for Texas A&M. If you find your quarterback, and I think that's like the number one thing, because they have 2 guys that are competing, find your guy, stick with him. The second thing I think they have going for them is a majority of their big games come at home. You have Alabama, and you catch them relatively early. I believe Texas A&M's 6th game of the year is against Alabama, and you get that game at Kyle Field. That's a big deal, right? You have your game against Auburn. That's at Kyle Field. So your 2 biggest games that are you on your schedule, you get at home. So I think if you're looking at it, you catch Alabama early and you get them at home. I think that's why a lot of people are looking at Texas A&M as potentially a team that could stop Alabama.
We'll see, man. I like you said,
She doesn't want to go that far.
I was about to say not that far. I don't think they could stop Alabama. I don't think they can stop Saban, but I think that Texas A&M can put up some rough competition, ruffle some feathers.
I think before Florida last year, PJ, Texas A&M was the closest team to Alabama, and I think they got beat by what? 28 points.
Yeah, it was not great. It was not great, and that's even with Kellen Mond, who just set so many records there for Texas A&M, and
a little bit of a compiler.
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, he was there for so long and very experienced, and who knows? Maybe I'm completely wrong, and whoever takes over there, Texas A&M will go in and just light it up against Alabama. But I mean, even I would say also for a young quarterback taking over a team, I know, like you said, that they'll have some games going into that. Even if you're at home, that kind of atmosphere, Kyle Field, even that could probably be intimidating even for if you are at home, right? I mean, the first time on a big stage like that, taking on Alabama, the evil empire. I mean, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, that can not be a great thing, or who knows? Maybe I'm talking bad about the future Johnny Manziel here in a Texas A&M uniform that I've just haven't seen yet. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Right now, like I said, it's close, but LSU gets a little bit of the nod for me.
And it is so weird with LSU because it was such a stark fall off the cliff for them from winning a national championship, maybe being the most dominating team ever, to all of a sudden one of the worst teams in the SEC, one of the worst defenses we've seen at LSU ever. And you have Derek Stingley Jr. and Eli Ricks on that team, and you were that bad. Very much the reason why Bo Pelini's no longer there as the defensive coordinator. So we're yet to see new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator at LSU, but I just think people look at that roster and say, this team has to compete, right? Yeah. You have those 2 corners and some of the guys you have on the defensive front. You get big transfers in, like Jones in from Clemson, and linebacker. It's going to be better. But is it enough to compete with Alabama? You have to play that one on the road this year at Bryant-Denny. You won there last time, but you had old number 9 slinging the quarterback around for you there for LSU. So I think if I have to imagine, those are the contenders, but I think we're forgetting there's one quarterback in the SEC right now who has beaten Alabama.
Yeah, I don't.
And he plays for Auburn. Bo Nix
Oh yeah,
beat
that's
Alabama in
true.
the Iron
That's
Bowl
true.
his freshman year. And he's still there, has a new offensive coordinator, new head coach, whole new regime. You got Derek Mason over there calling plays for the defense. You don't know who the wide receivers are going to be right now for Auburn, but they have a hell of a running back in Tank Bigsby. We got the Phil Steele preseason magazine right now, and he's his first team all SEC running back. I mean, you guys know this. A month or so ago, I picked him as the early favorite to win the SEC Offensive Player of the Year because I think you see what happened with Mike Bobo when he was calling plays for Kevin Harris at South Carolina. Kevin Harris, well over 1,300 yards rushing, right? Kevin Harris had an unbelievable season last year. And obviously a lot of that has to do that Kevin Harris is an unbelievable running back, the Bradwell Institute product. But I think now you have Mike Bobo and Brian Harsin drawn up plays for Tank Bigsby. He's going to be great. And I just don't think we're lending enough credence. You guys heard BJ bashing Bo Nix in the show meeting, right? Everyone's like, dude, Bo Nix was terrible last year. I don't know how much of that was Bo Nix or how much of that was the offensive play calling, because the offense was borderline anemic. They couldn't do anything last year.
Yeah, and maybe that aids some of the struggles there, but I don't know. I wouldn't go as far as to say he was that extremely terrible last year. With me, again, it's kind of like talking about the Braves with Bo Nix. It's about that consistency, and even his freshman season, you go back and he had a really solid year, but some of those games, man, just the right Bo Nix did not show up, and now he did against Alabama, did a great job, won that game, but. At the end of the day, it's all about showing up at the right point and right time and playing your best. And we might see that all throughout this year. And if we do, man, Bo Nix and Auburn is going to light things up. But we need to see it every game.
We have a fan commenting in saying UCF beat that Auburn team. It's like, no, they didn't. That was a year before that. You're thinking of the Jarrett Stidham Auburn team that happened to. So, I mean, we appreciate the effort there. But no, I think those are the top contenders. I mean, just quick mention, I think watch out for Mississippi State. And I'm not saying watch out for them to win the SEC West, but they're going to beat somebody this year they're not supposed to beat, because typically Mississippi State, Mike Leach teams get better in year two. And he was trying to install that air raid offense and take a run-heavy team and turn them into a pass-heavy team with a very minuscule offseason. I would watch out for Mississippi State. Matt Corral is going to break all kinds of records at Ole Miss. I mean, that dude's an unbelievable quarterback, and in Lane Kiffin's offense, he's going to throw for all kinds of yards. So watch out for Ole Miss too. Sam Pittman, the team might be better this year. I think they will be. I think he's done a really good coaching job, but that schedule is brutal for the Hogs. Don't be surprised if they win the same amount of games as they did last year.
I think next year is their year.
I mean, define their year.
Their year is
to
better
get to
than
a
the
bowl
last
game.
two.
To get to a ball game. There you go.
Arkansas's kind of years.
If
like,
you can get
if they can get to 9-3,
it's our year. If we can get to Shreveport, it's our year.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since the Hogs were competing for a spot in Atlanta.
I like that Mississippi State mention, though. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how you forget about this guy. I'm not going to lie. Kind of slipped my mind that Mike Leach was in the SEC West there, but he also did that with a transfer quarterback. So from Stanford and Castellano. So
yeah, and Castellano,
Castillo, excuse me.
Costello. Yeah, you got me too. He didn't even make it through the entire year. So
yeah, exactly. He showed up and absolutely torched LSU in that one game, and then all of a sudden just dropped off. But part of that might be, like you said, shortened off season, transfer, implementing a new system. I mean, they could take a huge stride this year. We'll see.
There you go. We got to take a quick break here, though, on Second Down. We'll come back. Who's your favorite to win the Home Run Derby? We'll dive into that. Also, this is an anniversary of a couple of big events in sports. We'll dive into that as well. All that coming up next right here on Second Down. What songs make you think of The Weeknd? Because that's one right there that's just at the top of my list for weekend hanging out songs.
Pretty much that one.
Obviously, like Spotify 90s country playlist is a go-to,
Obviously.
but like Neon Moon for me like signifies The Weeknd.
The Weeknd, memories growing up,
All of it.
all of it.
What other songs though? What other songs hit you like that?
Honestly, like you bring that up, I know it's a terrible joke. That's why I'm trying to explain it a little bit more.
Oh,
but
no.
like anytime you say something like this, all I see is there's that Twitter account that literally all it does is
Yeah.
like Friday at 5 o'clock.
It's Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, ladies and gentlemen,
The Weeknd.
The Weeknd.
Yeah.
So
On the-
blinded,
introducing The Weeknd
and
on
then like
SNL. Yeah.
and then like you have to listen to Blinding Lights on the
Do
way
you?
home. I feel like you
I
do
think
because
I'd
it
be okay-
automatically gets put
No, I
in your
think
head.
I'd be okay if I never listened to Blinding Lights again for the rest of my life after the Super Bowl.
I get that with
I
a lot of
100%
songs.
agree. I could not
Yeah.
agree more with you, Christian.
That's a great song.
It really is, but like you said, it was overplayed, no doubt about it. But like I try and like maybe like once a month I'll
Did you
throw
see
it
the
on.
Super Bowl?
Yeah. No, it was
No,
it
it's
was
not even the
rough.
Super Bowl. Did you see the 3-4 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, no,
Where it was just every
everywhere.
single promo was.
Yeah, it was, and I will say like
I want to
No,
say
I'm
it.
not-
You
I'm
know,
not
I
trying
want
to-
to say it. It almost made me hate The Weeknd,
I understand.
and not even
I
the
understand.
artist.
It's
Not even the
close.
artist.
Right,
Saturday
the
and
actual
Sunday.
thing. Whew, I'm sorry for you. I really am. And honestly, like the halftime performance, I'm not trying to like throw anyone under the bus or whatever, but you go back
That's your
and
second. I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. I think when you say it that much, you are trying to throw someone
I'm
under the
trying
bus.
to like, and I'm trying to get there. But you listen to like the first and second song, there was something wrong with like the mixer because his audio levels
Wow.
were not right. And then all of a sudden it kind of fixed itself. So I'm just
So now you're throwing the poor production guys under the bus.
saying, if you need somebody,
You want to produce the Weeknd's halftime shows from now on?
yeah, just the weekend, just the halftime show. So I mean, I might get like one the rest of my lifetime. We'll see.
That's fair. Today, a very important anniversary, actually a couple of them. I'll start with this one because I know there's a lot of people out there like Kevin who are going to roll their eyes as soon as we mention it. Today is, I guess, the 7th anniversary. God, time flies. Of Germany beating host country Brazil 7-1 in the World Cup. And I, there's Kevin screaming from the production studio because we're talking about soccer. But even more so than that, I don't think the sport and so much matters as the fact that it was the host country with the sport they love the most getting absolutely decimated in the semifinals. 7-1. If you do the equivalent, that's basically getting beat, what, 54-0 or 49-0. Just okay, we'll give them a touchdown. 49-7.
That was nice of you.
And they're in your home stadium. That was the equivalent. Just you got blown out.
When I think of that game, I think of, you remember, a lot of people don't remember this and they shouldn't, but I think it was like Connor Cook led Michigan State to the college football playoff, either him or Kirk Cousins.
Sure.
And they just got demolished by Alabama. Like it was only like 38-0 or something,
Yeah,
but
was even,
there was
that's
no
pretty much what
hope.
Alabama does in every semifinals. But
Yeah.
even except for Ohio State. But no, to me, my thought was more so along the lines of that happened in your home stadium.
yeah,
basically.
that's
Like,
true.
That
That's
was in
true.
your home country. Like at least Michigan State was at a neutral site. I was in Dallas. Like
Right,
at least they
yeah.
were at a neutral site getting destroyed. Germany came into Brazil and just absolutely massacred their home team. Right. My thought with the question is, what other home losses have been like that, where there's like so much hype behind the home team? There's like you have the huge push. You're playing in your home stadium. Everyone shows up. The fans are all excited, maybe blindly excited. Right, you're ignoring some holes in your team, but you're blindly excited about it. I think it's happened to Georgia twice from the same team, and we haven't learned our mistake from it. Alabama, 2015 and 2008.
Yeah.
2008, obviously the blackout game where Georgia gets mauled by, who is that, Greg McElroy and Julio Jones and that
Mhm.
team, Marcel Darius, just get absolutely mauled by them. And then 2015, when you're rolling old Grayson Lambert out against Alabama
The pouring rain.
and Georgia, and you're all hyped up because Grayson Lambert completed like 22 straight passes against South Carolina. Steve Spurrier retired. You're all amped up. You're like, who they have on that team? Who's this? Eddie Jackson? He's all right. Calvin Ridley? Calvin who?
Yeah.
He's all right. We're going to be fine. We're rocking out there with Grayson Lambert. It's going to be fine. It wasn't fine. In the rain, too. They made all those poor souls in Athens just sit in the rain to watch that absolute drubbing. I'll use because we're talking about soccer. That drubbed
Right. Yeah.
in that
Got
game.
drubbed.
So what are some other home losses that were just embarrassing like that?
Man, I it's hard to think of the ones at home because normally,
Does anything come to your mind as like, because what, you're a Pittsburgh,
I mean,
Pittsburgh Pirates.
I'll say I'm a Steelers fan, and last year in the playoffs was the
Oh, the
worst I
Browns.
felt
That's
in
a
a long
great
time.
one. That's a great one.
I mean, because everything was going, not everything. I mean, the Steelers' schedule got tough in the last couple weeks and dropped a few games, but you still felt good going into it, and had people come back from injury and stuff like that. Felt really good, and then all of a sudden, it's just like everything. Those first, I think, 4 possessions, fumble, bad snap, interception. It was just terrible. And before you blink, you're down 24-0. So
That's a really good
I
one.
mean, that was rough. That was bad. Luckily, I guess for me, I don't know, unless I get a little help here. Luckily, I don't think there's a lot of Penn State games that I can remember being like that, where it's just it's over quick. At
There
home.
has been like an Ohio State game like that.
There
Happy
probably
Valley.
has been, yeah,
You just
especially
you just
like
selective memory. You're choosing
although
not to
I
remember
mean,
them.
even in the ban years, right? The tough years,
Yeah.
a few years ago, that we were pretty competitive against Ohio State. But actually, I think that I might be forgetting this one because it was on Halloween and I had a Halloween party and stuff like that. But last year might have been like that a little bit. Actually, yeah.
It was like that a little-
Yeah, it was. I think.
But
it was
no,
like,
to be
I think
fair,
it was
Penn
like
State was
21-3
bad
or
last year. Y'all
something.
the Penn State lost like 5 games to start the season, so
Yeah.
there wasn't inherently that height. Like I'm not talking about
True.
just getting killed at home. I'm talking about like you came in with high
Riding high,
expectations,
yeah.
and you got humbled real fast. That's why I know Ben's probably going to say this on 3 and Out, but Georgia Southern beating Florida in the Swamp. Florida was bad that year, so I don't know that Florida was bad that year. I don't know if I'm going to include that one.
Do you remember?
And that was a close game. Like you didn't get
I think you
embarrassed.
have to include that one. If the
Well,
Georgia
just to
Southern
make-
Eagles go
just to
down
make-
and beat Florida,
But just to make fun of Florida, yeah, we can include that one. But
Of course,
I don't
always.
think it inherently meets the criteria of you were all high and mighty coming in amped up. You should never schedule Georgia Southern, specifically FCS Georgia Southern, for an out of conference game. Why would you do that?
There's a couple actually ACC games that are coming to mind where, well, no, that wasn't at home, but I believe it was Florida State at Clemson in like 2014 or 2013 or something. You had Taj Boyd and Florida State going against each other, and Florida State came out and beat them like 60-something to 20.
Yeah,
I remember
That's
the
a good one.
Clemsoning years. Yeah,
Yeah, it was rough, man. It was rough. I remember I walked out of I was at an event or something like that, and I left, and I
you're
couldn't
missing
believe.
a lot of big games. You're not like me. I'm weird. I will skip Halloween to watch football.
Well, I mean, I had a Halloween party at my house, so I couldn't. But at the same
Yeah,
time,
why would you do that?
I can control the TV.
But
so
why would
like
you do
it
that?
didn't change. So I watched most of the
But
game.
you had a Halloween party on a college football Saturday at your home.
Yeah, it was the best of both worlds, man. It was
Why
fantastic.
would you do that?
Oh,
But I mean, it was also kind of cursed it, right? Because
Yeah,
it was terrible.
1,000%.
Yeah.
After
But then again,
After-
it's also a quick turnaround, right? Because it got down like 21-0. I was like, all right, I'll just hang out. Like,
no,
other
I'm
than
kind of
watching the
I'm
TV,
neurotic
you know?
when it comes to my football team. Southern. I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but like I will not watch Georgia games with other people, and it's not so much.
Really?
Yeah, it's not so much for me as it is for other people, because
trying
of,
to save them.
well, the person I turn into when I'm watching those games is not healthy. It's not good for me. I'm not proud of any of it. But the one time I got talked into going to public to watch a game that I like legitimately emotionally cared about was the Super Bowl.
I mean, that's a very valid game that you should go watch.
No, not
with
when it's
people.
your
oh,
team.
man.
You're skipping out on life.
Not when it's your team. Like I'm 1,000% convinced that if I don't go and watch the Falcons play the Patriots in the Super Bowl with people, they probably win that game.
Well, the one I'll argue with, though, is I hate to bring this one up, too, because, well, any Georgia-related, it's going to be a heartbreaker. But
Damn.
a few years ago in the national championship, you watched that one at home?
By myself.
By yourself?
Yeah, by myself.
It didn't help. I mean,
Well, no, but that's why
That's
I watched
all
it.
I'm saying,
That's why I
right?
watched
Like-
it by myself because you did not want to be around me after that. I'm not like violent or angry or anything like that. I'm just,
yeah.
you're just kind of hollow, and you don't want to be talking to people, and
Trying
you don't want
to
you don't
cope, yeah.
you don't want Chad, who watched 3 Georgia games, coming up to you and or to God forbid Chad, the Alabama fan who's like from Conyers, Georgia, who just happens to be an Alabama fan, getting in your face. Like I don't want that.
understand. I understand that. I like to watch it with a very small, select group of
Yes.
people. The people that I trust.
I bet Danny Britt's a fun person to watch.
Oh, he's
football
great to
games
watch
with.
football with.
Some choice language, I'm assuming.
Choice language, yes. And I have a choice beverage there too. So it helps.
Choice. So that's two different
There you go.
definitions of choice there.
Yeah, it's a variety in here. Then again, I'm sure it can be like when something great happens. I'm sure it's just like that much more exciting though. At the same time.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that
The
much.
dogs
better.
are barking while we're yelling.
Yeah,
It's
No,
good-
you're not
good
yelling.
time.
Everybody's barking. Let's be honest.
We're all barking.
Everyone's barking.
I do agree with that though, with the exception of that party, which again, like it is what it is. But with
past
the
is in the
exception of
past.
that, like I completely agree. You have to. It's a select group. Like you can't. You have to be able to choose the people you watch the game with. Well, if you're going to watch it with someone,
My
like,
brother is a
there are people I
football
can't
fan.
watch the games with.
My brother's
Like,
a football. He's 18. He's a football fan, but he's not like a neurotic college football fan yet, like I am. And he watched the 2016 Tennessee Georgia game with me, where like the game didn't really matter, but it was Kirby Smart's first year. But Josh Dobbs like throws the Hail Mary
Oh yeah.
after Georgia kicks a squib kick for some reason.
Stop.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs throws that Hail Mary, and I think that's the last game we watched together
I wouldn't blame you.
because I hit him with the he bleeping caught it.
Yeah.
Like as the play happened, I was like, he bleeping caught it. And I was like, that's it. I was like, we were so hyped up and so happy. And I fell into the trap. So then I was like, wow, this is pretty great. Watching the game with my brother, Jacob Eason just hit that bomb down the sideline to Riley Ridley. Everything's great.
You just broke my heart
And
again.
then you just get slapped in the face again. So it's like, you know what? No, I'm not doing this with people anymore. And then I fell into the trap that year watching the Falcons Super Bowl with people. Never doing it again, ever.
Well, there you go. That's you follow it up with like that
Like,
many
PJ,
in a row.
I'm sorry to bring this
I
up, but
understand that.
I know you were watching it with people. What were your emotions when God, what's his name? The quarterback for Ohio State and that huge comeback
Oh God, yeah.
a couple years ago.
like
What
you
was his
said,
name?
you-
What's
you
the
mentioned-
quarterback's name?
Well, there's two of them. You had JT Barrett
JT Barrett's
with
the one.
huge one,
He
with
was
a
the
huge
one,
comeback.
yeah.
We were up 21 points, I believe.
Yeah, you had
going
Saquon.
in-
You had
going into the fourth
Saquon.
quarter.
You had was it Sam Darnold?
No, we had Saquon, Trace McSorley,
Trace McSorley.
there at quarterback, Chris Godwin on the outside.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, and then it happened twice. That's the problem. You
no,
have to
but
say,
but,
you have to
I'm
say
thinking, but you
Sam
know which one
Darnold,
I'm
but-
thinking about, which is like in the 40s.
Absolutely,
Or
yeah.
JT Barrett. They were wearing like the weird camo
Uh-huh.
gray
Yeah,
uniforms.
didn't
Like,
make any
you were-
sense,
You were
but-
watching that game. I'm assuming with your brother.
I was watching with
Probably
my
your
brother
friends.
and with our friend Danny.
Yeah.
So-
What how did you feel sitting on the couch watching that with people?
Empty. Yeah.
Yeah.
The hollow word you have is correct. Because
Yeah.
like you get mad for a second, then you sit back down, and you're just like, that just happened.
I'm
And
just-
especially when the comeback is
It's
like
just happening
fueling and
there's
starting,
nothing you can do to
it's
stop
just
it.
like
Julian Edelman's levitating and catching passes. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. We're going over. We got to take a quick break. We'll
Oh,
come
yeah.
back. Final segment of Second Down next. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by The Uniform Source. If you miss any portion of today's show, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, ESPNCoastal.com, as well as we mentioned up on ESPNCoastal.com's front page right now. Feature story on Holden Gariner, Benedictine quarterback and Auburn commit, his experience out at the Elite 11 camp in California. Ton of great talent out there. So he talked about that in BC's upcoming season. You can read that again on the front page of ESPNCoastal.com. Big show coming up today on 3 and Out. First hour, we'll catch up with Mac Hereford, former Alabama and Vanderbilt wide receiver, get his takes on the SEC coming up in 2021. Also catch up with Jake Crane, host of the J-Boy Show, talk some SEC West with him. And then we'll catch up with Georgia legend DJ Shockley coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. But Southern, we got about a minute here. What are your game watching tendencies? I know you said you watch as many games as you can, but for the most part, you're on the sideline,
Right.
watching games.
Right.
Are you ever like yelling at the players? Like
I
not
get
like
in
the
trouble
cheers,
sometimes
not the
for,
cheers. Yeah,
getting a little bit too invested. I start screaming when I should be cheering, and maybe one of the only people to do that, but I get in trouble for it. I'm not gonna lie.
I respect it, PJ. Like this, like she should
Absolutely.
be in formation, but she's screaming like, "Why the hell are we in cover 2 right now on 2nd and 26?" Were you in the building for that one?
No.
Okay, thank God. Were you in there for 2018 SEC championship?
No.
What's the most heartbreaking game you've been at?
LSU. When we were at LSU. No.
Yeah, you got clobbered.
Yes. Oh, there's so many. Which not so many, but every loss is a heartbreak, I guess is what I mean. Every loss.
That's fair. There you go. All of that and more coming up next on 3 and Out.